you.
Good.
Just upon watching the film, what were some of the overall highlights and needs for improvement going into next week?
I still finishing some of the drives off. Really, the percentage of drives we scored on. I think we scored on 5 out of 9 drives, which, if you're scoring on half your drives, usually football is going to be a pretty good percentage of the time. I think kind of the problem we ran into a couple weeks ago is just too many field goals on those drives, and if some of those are touchdowns, then that's a lot closer game. A little bit harder to establish some rhythm with our run game. Didn't really generate many explosive there. I think our longest run might have been 11, 12 yards, something like that. And so. We got to try to generate some creases, get some more explosives in the run game, and then just barely missed a few things in the pass game, a couple of reads here and there, a drop here and there, some of those things that didn't allow us to execute the way we wanted to. But like I said, scoring on 5 out of 9 drives, but really just finishing those drives with touchdowns to make that score closer. And even at the point when we got it to 23-20, and we're in that, right there in that football game. So.
Were the fronts that they were using making it particularly difficult to run the ball?
The fronts that we've seen, probably a little bit more aggressive than, more so than what they were the year prior. And I think that's philosophy of the new coordinator, a little bit more aggressive with his run pressures on control downs and things like that. So some of that stuff we capitalized well on. Some of it we had some issues with. There was one there in a sudden change situation when our defense got that fumble deep down in our own territory where they made a stop in the backfield, and it was a scheme that just didn't handle that pressure really well. So there were some of those moments that made it a little bit tough sledding for those guys up front.
Overall this year, I know last year the run game was your strength. I know this year probably hasn't been what you've wanted all the way throughout the year, despite the depth of running back. Why do you think it's been a little more of a challenge throughout the year to run the ball as effectively as previous year?
I think some growing pains a little bit on the interior. Targeting hasn't really been an issue. Getting fronts ID'd. I think Sumner's done a good job with that. But teams have dialed in on it. They're playing us differently. And really you got to be able to keep teams honest, and they've got to feel that threat in the pass game. But even I think the defensive approach with what we see, the way teams are playing other opponents, there's just a very high disregard for the pass game. You're seeing, forms of zero coverage. You're seeing closed middle, and that's just about against everybody that they play. And so they're daring you to do some things in the throw game and with play action. And, so we've seen some different looks than what teams have played us last year, and so we got to come up with some things to be able to get that going and try to capitalize on some things.
Was it a pretty big adjustment as far as Jake going out, Darryl coming in? How much did that affect what you wanted to do for the year offensively?
I think there was a little bit of an effect there with Darryl. This is a change in quarterback stylistically is going to change the philosophy of your offense. There's no doubt about it. You try to look at what each guy does well. You try to center the offense around their skill set and their ability. And maybe one guy does things a little bit better than the other, and so you try to focus on those things a little bit more. And with Darryl, where some things in the run game maybe a little bit more read oriented. Not that he's had a bunch of carries from a quarterback standpoint, and then what are his strengths in the pass game? A lot of things with him maybe have to happen a little bit quicker, maybe a little bit more on the perimeter, because he's not as big a body to see over the middle as Jake was, and so it can kind of change your thought process just with some of the concepts you're running. Awesome.
What challenges does Arizona present?
I think very similar to Cal, but they're a team that I think is playing with a lot more energy and belief than what they were playing when we faced them last year at the end of the year. It's a team that's kind of right there in the thick of things in the Pac-12 South, and been playing some really good football, I think, up until last week, 4 straight wins. And so it's a team that was gaining a lot more confidence as they went, where as opposed to last year was maybe kind of losing confidence coming into the point where they played us. And so I see a defense that's still really young, but they've been opportunistic and they're playing with a lot more energy. I think they moved some guys around a little bit, and so they're getting a little bit better use out of their personnel, and they're also a little bit more aggressive than what we saw last year, and so they're able to do more things within their scheme, and so it's going to be a tough challenge for us.
In your opinion, what makes Khalil Tate so special?
Oh, geez. I'm just watching some crossover games. just a really, really dynamic athlete. I mean, you give him a little crease and he's gone. Very, very fast, elusive, throws the ball a lot better than a lot of guys do with that type of skill set. And so he's just a really dangerous player.
Coach, sorry if you already answered this, but just how do you think Arizona was able to kind of turn it around so quickly, just in terms of, because last year towards the end they were kind of reeling a little bit offensively and defensively. How they kind of flip that switch?
Yeah,
on defense specifically.
Like I say, I think sometimes that can just come with wins and losses. I think it can come from. I think they've been feeding off the momentum a little bit from the other side of the ball.
Right.
That was that's a big difference in their offense from what one player did.
Right.
And to me, when that happens, the defense starts feeding off that momentum a little bit, and they start gaining confidence, and they start making some good things happen on their side of the ball, creating turnovers, and there's a belief created there, and that those things just kind of feed off each other. You get some momentum going, and good things start to happen. I think that's what's happened for that program, because I know all along they've been a really, really well coached program. I mean, you'd never ever second guess that with that staff and the time and energy and what they have those kids doing schematically are all very, very good things.
And kind of for you guys, what did you kind of seen that USC was able to do successfully? Obviously, it was kind of a shootout, but what did they do well on offense that you guys maybe hope to emulate a little bit?
I think they were very, very balanced. I can't remember exactly what the numbers were, but I think it was pretty close, rushing and passing. Right. And so, Sam Darnold made some really, really special plays in that game, in the throw game. It wasn't like it was just clean, everything was wide open. You had some good players making some good plays, but they were able to get after it in the run game as well, and they stayed pretty patient with that. And so there was balance there. It might have been about 300 both, rushing and passing, and but USC's a talented team also. So.
The play calling the last couple of weeks have been pretty creative. Have those been there, or are you just getting more creative?
I'd like to think I'm getting more creative. Some of it's been there, but it's just trying to create different looks within the schemes that we're already running, and different ways to use personnel. And so, been shifting and motioning and kind of moving guys around and doing some of those things. And our kids have been buying into it. It's you start to establish some tendencies with what you're doing, and some of it you can kind of guard against those tendencies by creating a little bit different presentation for the defense. So a lot of it kind of geared around that as well.
When you guys are calling those trick plays, are you on the sidelines 100% confident that they're going to work, or sometimes are you just looking out there like, we'll see how this goes?
Yeah, I don't know if you're ever 100% confident in those. But there were a couple days in practice where I had to watch Thule warm up a little bit to make sure he might have the right trajectory to get that ball there. And that ball didn't look like some of the days in practice, but he got it there, so that's what counts. But no, I think our guys have fun with those. Like I said, trick plays, I don't know if you ever have full confidence in them. And part of it is some of those tricks may only work against one specific defensive look, and so you're kind of praying for the right look on that. And when we saw that they were in man coverage in that situation, now I'm looking at the backside linebacker to see if he loses track of Ryan, and then I'm seeing a ball float through the air that I'm hoping gets there. So, but it's kind of fun.
Does it kind of take the pressure off of the offense a little bit to be able to have plays like that are just a little interesting? The Fred Lewina throwback and this throwback this week. Does it kind of take a little pressure off the offense when you can do something like that?
I don't know if it takes any pressure off them, but I think it gives them things where they have fun with it. There's some things to look forward to. Both of those situations, when you talk to those guys, they're kind of anticipating it, and maybe you're motivating them to get into those situations. But I told the whole offense with Fred's throwback, I was like, okay, we get down into the red zone, we're on the left hash. This is what's going to get called. And same thing in the unit meeting on Friday with our guys. I was like, okay, the first time we're across the 50 and you're on the left hash, this is what the call is going to be. And so they kind of that happens, and then they're all kind of geared up for it at that point, and so they're prepared for it and they have fun with it and ready to get out there and execute it. So.